So if I gave you 50,000 to spend on marketing, would you know where to put it? Or would you spread it across channels, to hoping something works? So here I want to show you the single KPI that turns marketing from guessing into an actual investment, and that is cost per sale. How much does it cost you to make a sale by lead source, by month and year? Okay, so here we have a data set here, and if you've watched any of my other videos or if you're reading the book, you'll know that for the marketing section, this is one of the main files we use. I mean, this is like maybe 70% of the marketing section because there's so many KPIs you can get from it. So if you want this file, there's a link to download it, but you need to recreate this. So if you're getting 10, 15, 20 leads a day, you need to have somebody entering in this data to be structured as close to this as possible, because you can get very, very valuable KPIs. But for this video, what we need the date that you got the lead, the channel you got it from, the cost of the lead, and then the sale. Right? Was the sale closed? And then gross profit, not revenue. I mean, revenue, you can have it, of course, but gross profit. For this video, we need gross profit. And that's just, we know what our costs are, our COGS, our cost of goods sold. And so we can calculate gross profit. And so I know you can recreate one of these, a file like this, because I have HVAC clients that I create files like this for. So it's definitely doable. Okay, so what we need first is we need to add the month and the year to this data set. And we'll just do it off to the right side. I already did it here to create, the initial heat map that I showed you at the beginning. But we get this from the lead date. So if you have a timestamp, perfect. If you don't, not a problem. But what you need to do is use the text function, equals text. Go over here, just pick whichever one, comma, and then quotations and 4 M's for month. And that'll give you the full name of the month. And then for year, same function, but we'll do 4 Y's. And so that's how you get the month and the year. We already have this. I've already done this here, but I just wanted to show you how to do it. So I'm going to delete these columns. And so the next thing we need to do is we need to get a unique list of these right here, because we want to calculate everything by month and year. So we need a unique list of this, essentially like this right here. And then we need a unique list of the marketing channel. And so to get a unique list of the months, we're going to type in equals unique, go to the data set, and then just highlight this data range. And you can see now we have that. And so I'm going to copy everything and then press Control-Shift-V to paste everything as values, because I don't want the formula still there. And then we need to get the unique list as well of the marketing channel. And so we know that the name of the table is table leads, and then we know, hold on, I gotta add a function, right? So we know it's table leads and then channel. And now we have this, but we want to sort it alphabetically, A to Z. So I'm going to sort with the sort function. And then now we need to transpose it across the top by using the transpose function. And now we have this here. So again, copy and then Control-Shift-V to remove the formula. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to see how much money did we spend per month by marketing channel, and then divide that by the number of sales by marketing channel, right? And so here equals, we want to sum, right? So we want to sum the lead cost column, which is right here. Let me just go up to the top, which is right here, column L. We want to sum this where, and then now this sequencing doesn't matter. The very first argument for SUMIFS needs to be the value column that you're trying to sum. And so now the month is cell B3. And then the year is cell C3. You can see it's sort of behind here. The formula gets in the way sometimes. And then the channel is right here. So we spent $1759.26 in ads for Angie for January 25. And now what we need to do is how many sales did we make? And so here we need to count how many times it's January 2025, And then over here, is Angie. And then over here is the sale is closed. So yes. So from here, what we're going to do is here, I'll just do the formula over here just to show you, how we're doing this. So we want to count if, and again, so we want to count the table. So sort of the same thing. Month is cell B3. Year is cell C3. And then channel is D2. And then what was it called? Sale closed is yes. So this is on the bottom of the fraction, right? So essentially we need to divide this by this. And so all you have to do is just highlight this here, and then divide by this. And now you get 438 or 439.82. And so that's your answer right there. And so now all we have to do is just drag this over, which you'll see in error, and then drag it down, which you'll also see in error. So what's happening is here, you can see that the cell came down. We want it to be on Angie, but as we drag it down, we need to lock the cell because right now this is called relative referencing, or like relative references in Excel. So we need to tell Excel like, hey, if I drag this down, I don't want, the channel to change. And if I go over with this, I don't want, you can see the month now became the year column, and then the year column became essentially the dollar amount of Angie. So what you need to do for anywhere you want to lock the column, meaning as you go over, it doesn't change, you need to put a dollar sign before the column, which is before the letter. Letters are columns in Excel, right? So anywhere you see B3 or C3, put the dollar sign before. Here and here. And then anywhere you see the row, put the dollar sign before the number after the letter. So before the row. Here. And I'm just going to delete this part right here because it's just a cell reference to the sheet. It's just a little bit easier to work with. And now you have to copy. Don't drag it because what's going to happen is this is just the function, the nature of tables. So it's changing speed delete. So just go over here and then you can paste. And the first thing you'll notice is there's a lot of zeros. And the reason is because there's no marketing spend for these channels. Organic search isn't marketing spend. You could attribute, say, like SEO, if you're doing that. Referral, if you have like a referral bonus or things like that, you could also, add that. But in this example, we don't have marketing spend. So I'm just going to delete these. Delete that one, delete these two. And then finally, you can see an error here. And what this means is that the denominator was 0. In other words, for September, there was no sales for Facebook and Instagram. But let's just see right here, right? So $341 was spent, but there were no sales. So what we can do is we could put a dash or we could put something, but it's definitely something worth looking into, right? Because it doesn't mean it's bad, or it doesn't mean it's bad or good, but just something worth checking out. But what I'll do is I'm going to add an if error function. So if you see an error, then just give me a dash just for now. But again, you can put whatever you want. But now you can, copy paste that over and you can see the dashes here. Okay, so the next thing we want is just an overall. So now we want an overall, I'll put this down here. We want an overall cost per sale for the data set, right? You could also break it down by year if you want, but I'm just going to do the full data set for Angie, and then for Facebook, and then for Instagram. But because we already have the formula, we can just strip out some of the stuff in the formula instead of having to redo it. And what we're going to strip out is the month and the year, because we don't need it because we're just wanting it for the marketing channel. So essentially anywhere you see month and year here, just take that out. So like this section here, we don't need. Make sure there's not 2 commas. You see the 2 commas, so delete one of those. And then same thing here, make sure it's month and year here. And then now you can see, and then copy and then paste. And so, yeah, so this is overall by, by the total data set, right? Which is what this is showing here. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to do a conditional formatting to where it highlights cells based on their value. So if something is, let's just say here, if something is over $250, we want this to highlight red. And so the way you do that is just type in 250 somewhere and then highlight everything. Hold down Control, highlight that, go to Home, Conditional Formatting, highlight cell rules greater than 250. And you can see pretty quickly, like, Facebook is less expensive than Angie. But this doesn't tell the full story. So this is sort of the end of the lesson, but this doesn't tell you the full story. So what you really need to know is you need to know these things, right? You need to know your gross profit per sale. And the way you do that is you sum gross profit. And then if it's sold, right? And then from there, you need to divide it by the number of sales. Let me show you. Try to keep this video sort of short, but this is valuable, so it's worth knowing. So equals SUMIFS. I'm going to go a little bit fast. So we want the gross profit of this, where the leads, the channel, is this. And then from here, this gives you the total gross profit for Angie. But from here, we want to divide by the count of the table where the channel is this, and the table and cell closed is, right? And so you can just copy this, paste this. And so now you can see this is your, yeah, so dollar per channel is going to equal this minus this. And then finally, your gross profit return on ad spend is going to just be this divided by this. And so this is what you want to know. This number right here, these two numbers right here, are going to be the most valuable numbers out of all of this, because what this is telling you is that for every dollar you put into Angie ads, you're making $1.98 back. So you're making 98 cents. Every dollar you put in Facebook and Instagram, you're getting $7.14 back. So you're making, right? You're making $6.14. So these right here, this tells you the whole story. And so it's really valuable to do that. And it's also valuable to do that on gross profit. Most people do it on revenue, but if you can figure out your gross profit, it's a million times better to do it on that, because it accounts for your cost of goods sold. And so this is this number here. So for every sale you make here, you're bringing in, 1153 minus 582. So you're making this much money, right? So every sale you make on Google, or what's the highest one? Here. So every sale you're doing on Yelp, you're making $900 gross profit, to spend on admin salaries, to spend on your fixed cost. And so these here are the valuable numbers to know. Obviously, this is too, for sure. But the thing is that a high cost per sale doesn't always matter, because this is what matters. Like, in other words, say these numbers were flipped and say you're spending $1,300 for a lead, or, to make a sale, but you're netting $2,000, right? It would be more valuable to put more money into, Angie ads. But anyways, that's all I got for this one. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, questions@databoards. If you want this file, there's a link to download it. If you need help structuring a file like this, you can shoot me an email, or there's also a link to hop on my calendar. But if none of that stuff is interesting, then I'll just see you in future videos.